Hello, everyone. So I wanted to do a quick isolated review of projects, so it's not buried in a class with all the other information. Projects are basically a folder and filing system that Maya has to collect not only related scene files, but all the texture files and rendered files and everything that comes along with that particular project. So for example, UV Workshop 0 is something that we were working with yesterday. You go in there, it's got all these different folders in it, and we go to scenes and you can see the scene that we worked with. If you go to source images, you can see the images that we worked with. Um, if I go to the solar system project and I go to scenes, you can see there's lots of different scenes. So this is something I was using somewhere else, and there was just lots and lots of different types of things I had to do. And so all within the solar system idea, but some ones with cameras, one's with animation tests, one that was for the video I made, and they're all stored within the same project folder, right? So the idea is that you might have multiple scenes in there, you would definitely have multiple texture files in there, but you also might just simply have multiple projects. So by the end of the semester, you'll probably have one for UV Workshop 0, UV Workshop 1, and for your final project, right? So all of these, each folder has the same structure so that it's predictable, but each one is its own contained thing. So how did I make these? Well, in order to create them, you have to go to File, Project Window, and that's basically the create project situation. So I go to new because I want to, let's see here, Maya project, let's make up a fake final. Here we go. Where is it going to go? Well, not there. Um, it defaults to documents, Maya project, etc. We don't want it there. I happen to have my stuff stored in a folder for the school. There we go. So it's going to store it in my folder that has all my different projects that are for this class. And it uses all the same folder, situation that is in the other ones. I hit accept and it has created a project. So if I go here now, Benvenuto Final is right there. However, this file that I'm working with is not in that project. All I did was create a project I created a folder with a bunch of other folders. I did not save a file. I did not put a file in there. I have to do that manually. So I have to go to File, Set Project, and tell it that Benvenuto Final is my project. And now theoretically, although my computer is a little glitchy on this, we shall see. What that means is that if I go to save the scene, yeah, it doesn't listen. It should bring you right to the scenes folder. Now, maybe it's because I've never saved a scene before. I'm not sure. Test, save. But what should happen is if I make a bunch of stuff randomly, and then I go to save scene as, there we go. It will bring it automatically to the scenes folder. And then if I put myself in a different project, it should go there. Right? So, excuse me. There's a difference between creating a project and setting a project. Now, switching between projects can also maybe be a little bit fraught. Again, yours will probably work a little bit better than mine is doing right now because I am on Windows 7 and there are some preference settings that are just very, very mucked up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the scene from the UV workshop, right? Like that's a pretty typical thing. I give you a project folder that has a scene file in it, and you're going to open it. So I'm going to pause the video for a second while the file opens. All right, so that took a minute to open. Again, I'm on an old computer. So we have our file, we have our posters on the wall, et cetera, et cetera. But looking for the source images for this may not work right now because in Maya on my computer, I was just working in another project, or maybe I just downloaded this for the first time. So even though a project was created, a project called UV Workshop 0, right here, and even though a scene file called simpleroom.ma had been saved to that project, this instance of Maya on my computer may not know that's what I'm doing. And one way to kind of test for that is to go to, okay, it actually kind of knows what I'm doing. That's good. But one thing that I like to do is I just like to test things or just to be sure of things. So I say File, Set Project, and it went to my desktop, which is great. Data, there we go. And so I got to navigate again. Normally, if you're on a computer that's a little bit better organized than mine, it'll be faster. There we go, UV Workshop 0, set. And so now I can kind of double make sure it wants to save the scenes there. And I can also check by trying to apply, a new material. And if I go to, where is it here? Apply a file to that material, it should, yes, it should automatically go to where I want things to go, to the folder where the posters are saved. It's very, very important that you use a project whenever you're doing attached textures for this class and beyond, because these files are only linked to this. They're not in the Maya file. And you don't want to have to keep reattaching them. And when you submit them to me, I am not going to reattach them. So when I open your file, the most I should have to do is say file set project, set my project, to what your project is, and then all of your images should load in, because what they should be looking for is just source images, that name of image. The reason for that is that where I store stuff, which is actually this on a D drive, under this user, that's very different than how you store stuff, which might be on your flash drive, which could be any old letter over here. It could be on your C drive, right? This address is going to change, and therefore this full address is going to change. We don't want Maya looking for that full address. We want it just knowing what project it's in and then looking for source images, this. So very important to set up a project whenever you're going to have textures. So if you're going to have any attached textures at all in your final project, you're going to want to create a project, which is under File, Project Window. And then you're going to want to set that project, and you may need to set that project every time you open. You'll definitely need to set that project every time you go to the school. And so switching back and forth, that can be a little bit fraught. You can reset your project, and then if something gets unattached, you can say reload. And then it should be able to find it. Worst case scenario, and this sucks if you have lots of attached textures, but as long as you set your project and all of your images are stored in the correct location, then you can go to, instead of reload, you might just go here and you would just select the image again, right? So you should not have to move stuff around. So your habit from here on out with anything that has materials on it, which is basically everything we're working on in class, everything I'm handing you, you're going to be going into a project folder, into scenes, opening up a file, then it's going to be file set project to that project, and then you should be able to load in and out textures.